Hey everyone, it's me V. Um, Racism and how it's affected me and my communities. Personally, I don't know if you caught the first video, but I've I'm one of the oppressed indigenous people of this country that I can see it in the foreign people, the people that come here with nothing have it, and how much in common we have and how much divide there is because of these indifferences and shit. I'm not getting the proper medication, so I've been experimenting with psilocybin mushrooms. I tried macrodosing. I've, done 0.3 for a week, in the morning. And I tried that 5 gram thing that YouTube told me to do because I'm not getting help from our healthcare system. This healthcare system that people think that we have, this fucking perfect, free, awesome healthcare that everyone thinks that indigenous people and foreigners get. It sucks because last year I was longboarding down the hill in front of Shaw Conference Center and I crashed. And they didn't give me anything good. They just gave me a bunch of T3s, and I was on Alberta Works, and I was only getting $725 a month. My rent is $850. My phone bill is $75, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just got laid off like a week before that. I just started to look for work because it was, roofing, and I had enough to cover rent for both months, but I couldn't sit around on $725 a month. Like with that Alberta Works check over that I had, and from the last check that I had left over from working, covered rent, and it didn't cover food. So instead of taking those painkillers that I was prescribed, just the Tylenol 3s, I had to sell them. And I'm pretty sure that's what a lot of people in poverty have to do, the ones that are on Alberta Works, the ones that are on assistance, because I've seen it. I've seen guys that elderly people that only get Alberta Works, which is only fucking, I think now it's like $650 a month, and they have to make $650 last them a month. So they're selling their medication. They're out there panhandling. They're out there doing whatever they can because you know what? They're doing what they got to do to get by. And I see that. I get it. And it sucks. It fucking sucks. I watch how foreigners get treated in this province. You know, I've worked a lot of shitty jobs, line cook, construction. What the hell is it called? Fast food, Tim Hortons. Sorry, I'm just kind of drawing a blank. I've just worked a lot of shitty minimum wage paying jobs. Not able to get anywhere, trying to get an education, this free education that Indians have, I don't get. This free education that foreigners, people like think that they get, they don't. A lot of them have to take out loans, and they, you know, they get shit on, and it's why, like, I was talking about Red Deer. Oh man, it's fucked up because there's two kinds of black people in Red Deer, in rural Alberta. If you're living anywhere in like small town Alberta, there are two types of black people, and they're the N-word black people from Africa, and then there's like black people from North America, black people, the cool black people that you know people think, but they're just oppressed people trying to make it too. So I get it. It's fucked up. It is so fucked up because you know that I looked at this doctor in this article about Red Deer about a couple days ago, how he got like beat to death with a hammer, and you know we it's fucked up because you know we bring in these refugees coming from a war-torn country, and we're telling them that they have equal opportunity, but then they get shit on. People don't want to listen to them. People don't want to listen to Indigenous people. That's why I've started trying mushrooms, and that's why I smoke pot, because I don't want to be on the 4 or 5 other medications that Indigenous healthcare will cover. Indian healthcare will only cover the bare minimum, and they only cover mostly narcotics. Anything that's made to help me that costs $300-$400, I can't have. They won't pay for it. Or I have to wait 3 months for an approval to get the medication covered. So I get it. I totally get it, man. When I lived in Red Deer, the N-word was dropped a lot because there were no N-words around. And I got told, you know, it's okay, V, you're native, you know, you get it. And you know, I'm guilty of letting it go by, but it was hard for me to stand up as an Indian in like a white community that is pretty racist. And that's all I'm trying to fight and bring awareness to is racism. You know, I get why, you know, I want to do that to my doctor at times. I just want to like punch him because he doesn't listen to me. I don't like no doctors want to like take me as a patient because of COVID or because I have a family doctor already, and I try explaining my situation and they tell me to look for another doctor in the same place, and I've tried and nobody in there wants to take me. And they have, I think, 3 different clinics in the city that I've tried, and nobody. So it's like, fuck, I get it, man. I don't. I don't have that same help. It fucking sucks. Because what am I supposed to do? You know? There's a lot of indigenous people, a lot of foreigners, a lot of poor, impoverished people that, get the bare minimum help, and they use that bare minimum help, and they go hustle that bare minimum help, whether it's fucking, like 30 fucking Tylenol or like a prescription of Ativan, you know. Some of us get into the street life and selling drugs and selling whatever it is we can because we do what we have to do to get by. $7.25 a month when my rent is $8.50. I couldn't even stay off my leg for a whole month because I didn't know what else to do. I've worked so hard to have this place to live, and and I can't get help. Doctors won't listen to me. They'll give me the bare minimum of whatever, and they don't even look at me. So I totally get where this guy in Red Deer is coming from. As fucked up and as sad as it is, you're bringing in refugees, people that have experienced war, and they get put in the communities, these small rural Canadian communities where the locals are shitting on them because they think that they get all this free shit when they don't. So they resort to what anyone in poverty resorts to: selling drugs, stealing, extorting, whatever it is we can, we'll do. So, it's fucked up. Because when I was living in Red Deer, I heard this all the time from a lot of small town Albertans, is like, it's okay, they are from Africa, so they are N-word black. But anyone from like Canada, they're just black. And that was the stereotype, the belief that it's okay, they're just N-word black. I wanted to go skate down this hill in Red Deer, and I was told not to because that's where the N-words lived. That is where the N-words lived. And I was like, what? Yeah, they live in this like apartment building, and it's a bunch of refugees and just a bunch of N-words. And that's what they refer to them as. And I was like, wow. And they're like, it's all good though, V, you're native. You get it. I get it. I guess so. I don't know. I'm just as impressed as those refugees. I'm pretty much a refugee in my own country. I have this thing called a certificate of Indian status, and refugees have refugee status. And people think that these refugees get all this free stuff when they don't, just like Indigenous people with statuses. Isn't that awesome how we get put in statuses? If Indigenous people got all this free money, whenever someone died, we would just be able to go home. But my family were all just kind of scraping up money to get home for funerals and for whatever. When shit happens, most of us are working minimum wage jobs, or we're working so much that we can't even stop what we're doing, because if we stop working, we'd lose our job, because we need to fight to keep that job. And it's terrible. It's a belief that I used to promote, and I got to change too, because I used to say, those drunk Indians are just Indians. Well, I became one of those drunk Indians, and it hurt because someone reminded me of that, and I was just like, oh shit. I became that Indian, living on the streets, drinking my life away, doing drugs, living in homeless shelters, living in tents, in tarps, in garbage bag tents, in stairwells, in heating vent ducts, ventilation ducts, parks, benches, the same kind of people that I see on the streets here in Edmonton. And why do we have this problem? Why do we have these people, this kind of people? Why? Why isn't the government, why isn't anyone doing about it? I don't know. It's just fucked up, because I too was creating a divide with Indigenous people and Black people. We're all oppressed, and and it took me going to Red Deer and for someone to remind me that we're all still pretty much oppressed, because down on 107th Ave, between I think it was 118th Street to 95th Street, gets referred to as Little Africa, and that's where the N-words live. There's an apartment building in Bridgeland where low-income people get to live, and refugees, and I was told that's where the N-words live. But it's okay, V. You're Indigenous. You're Native. You get it. They're here taking your jobs too, V. What job are you guys giving us? What job? I'm gonna go do hard labor or shitty cooking jobs, or just about anything that pays minimum wage that'll hire me because nowhere else will. So, I get it. And like I said, I get why this person did what he did in Red Deer. I'm not condoning what he did. I'm just saying I understand because of the treatment that I've seen. The treatment that I've seen rural Alberta and just about any white Albertan, I guess. I don't know how else to say it because they tell me I understand. I get it. They're here taking your jobs too, V. That's what they try and tell me. And I'm like, I've worked with a lot of these people in these shitty jobs for big corporations that have gotten contracts to work over here that have to work 12-hour days at minimum, or like minimum wage, fucking 6 days a week, that get shit on by the rest of the community. But it's okay, V, you get it, because you're Native and they're here taking your jobs. Right? It's still racism. It's still enslaving people. And the way that these foreigners get treated, the way any minority gets treated in the system, I've had doctors tell me, like, oh, well, it's because you're Indigenous. It's just because I'm Indigenous. It's because I'm Indigenous that I could have possibly all these ailments that could kill me. And it's just because I'm Indigenous. I'm an alcoholic because I'm Indigenous. I'm a drug addict because I'm Indigenous. My people have gone through residential school, so their own kind of trauma. And we're, this certificate of Indian status just pretty much means refugee status to me because I don't know what else to say. I have a lot in common with these refugees that came from poverty and war and fucking famine here, and then the rest of the country thinks that they get everything handed to them hand and foot, and then it just creates more of a divide, because then the black people that are here from like slavery, they're just like, oh no, like we'll kind of give them a break, but we'll still say the N-word because they're not N-words, they're just black people. And then these people over here, they're, there's just all sorts of racism in fucking Alberta and people trying to cover it up. Shit's got to change. I'm not going to sit by and let foreigners get shit on anymore. I'm not going to let any minority get shit on anymore. I'm going to speak up. Because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to think that I get everything for free. That I get free housing, free health care. If I got everything for free, I wouldn't be trying to work. If I got everything for free last year when I hurt my knee, I fucking wouldn't have sold my Tylenol 3s because that's, I needed to eat. I do everything that I can to get by legit. I go work cash jobs. I find everything that I possibly, like, I look everywhere. The same with these foreign refugees that everyone thinks they get everything handed to them. Not just the refugees, the other foreigners that come here on work permits or visas or whatever to work for Tim Hortons or, you know, McDonald's or other corporations that can bring them in, house them, and hire them at minimum wage and fucking work them to death. And you know, they'll try to work and become a Canadian citizen so they can like stay here and not live in wherever the fuck it was they were living because it's fucked up over there and they have a better opportunity here. The system has to change. We need to either abolish the idea that foreigners, these refugees, get all this free stuff, that indigenous people get all this free stuff. We gotta abolish this idea of free shit because it's not happening. We definitely got to stop using the N-word. Doesn't matter to, like, unless it's like in context of like the past and like shit in a book written from that time, that it's not needed to be used. And shit needs to change. Like the certificate of Indian status, you know. Refugee status. All these statuses. We're just people. I think that's what we should be labeled as. It's just fucking people. So yeah, that guy in Red Deer, the one that assaulted the doctor, I get it. Because like I said, the healthcare system does not listen to foreigners. They don't listen to indigenous people. They don't listen to just about anyone. So a lot of us resort to whatever it is that we have to. In this case, like, yeah, I said, I don't condone what this guy did. I just get it because my doctor isn't listening to me. I'm trying to find the right medication, talking to my pharmacist who talks to my doctor, who sends fax after fax after fax about medications and sending in requests. And finally, they just said that they're not dealing with me. North Edmonton Medical Clinic. And I'm trying to find doctors that'll take me. And I can't. And then I go to Alberta Healthcare, like Alberta Mental Health and Addiction downtown here, Edmonton. And I get told that I'm on a wait list or people won't see me because I've already seen this other doctor. And it's like, well, these doctors aren't working. If I'm still going crazy and losing my temper, I know it's on me, but I know that I need help, and these doctors aren't listening to me. Because I'm an Indian, because I'm an addict, because they think I get all this free stuff. They'll write me like prescription for whatever because they think that I get all this free medication, and then when I go take it in, I find out it's like $300-400, and I only have like $30 to my name most of the time. So these ideals, these stereotypes, whatever it is you want to call it, they just gotta stop. don't know what else to say. The majority of the oppressed people in the Canadian population are minorities. I mean, yeah, there are poor white people. I'm not saying they aren't part of this group. It's just us versus the government. Changing the system and ideals. And the types of racism that I've seen, it's just disgusting. And the types of racism that I've expressed, that, Indians are just drunk bums that live on the street. That's what I told myself 10 years ago. And then I became one of those drunk bums on the street. No, I want to stop with that idea and stop saying, there's this. We're all Indian status, but I want that to change. Racism is racism. Whatever your actions are to cover up for it, it's all still racism. I don't know. Chat with y'all later.